My name is John Flutter and I'm a dentist, and what's been keeping me interested for the last 40 years is the growth and development of the cranium, the head, the jaws, the skull, and why it is that today nearly all children are growing up with crooked teeth. And when you grow up with crooked teeth, what we're recognizing that as is a failure for the bones of the cranium to grow and develop correctly. There's 5 bones in the cranium that have teeth in them, and if the teeth are crooked, it's a sure sign that the bones that contain those teeth are distorted. If the bones that contain the teeth are distorted, then all of the bones in the head will also be distorted. Now, the reason that's of interest to sportsmen is because of 2 things. One is that the airway, the nasal airway, goes right through the upper jaw. So if you have crowded upper front teeth, it means your upper jaw is underdeveloped and the nasal airway that goes through it is also underdeveloped. So there's a problem with the breathing. That's one problem. The other issue is that the cranial nerves exit the cranium and they go to operate really vital parts of the body: the hearing, the sight, the vision, the speech, the swallowing, the heart, the diaphragm. And those cranial nerves are now going across a cranium that is distorted. Now, if you put any pressure at all on any nerve at all, it does affect the transmission along that nerve. So as the cranium becomes more distorted, then the cranial neurology will to some extent be affected. And sportsmen require good oxygenation of the tissues, they need good breathing, and they need good control from the neuromusculature. If you're kicking a football, then the muscles and the nerves and the bones and the joints and the tendons must all work well. And that's largely controlled by a central nervous system. And the structure within which that central nervous system is contained is of paramount importance. If you want good cranial function, you need good cranial anatomy. And how do we know whether people have got good cranial anatomy or not? Well, we can look at the teeth. So with the SumDental Formula, what we're trying to do is to bring together different skills to focus on the same problem. The mucoskeletal system of the entire body, we're trying to get to function at its optimum, at the best it possibly can. For good body balance, it's very important to have a good breathing system. Mouth breathers will tend to have a poorer postural pattern, where they tend to have their head forwards, they tend to have an increased curvature in the spine, they tend to have their pelvises rotated, and so the neurological messages from every single proprioceptive fibre throughout the body, that neural transmission will be distorted the more distorted the body is. Particularly when it gets to the cranium and we get cranial control, it's particularly important that the cranial bones are well developed. So we want well developed cranial bones and the bones in the rest of the body in as good a relationship to each other as is possible to get the best neurological system throughout the body. The upper molars, in particularly the upper first molar, have got periodontal fibres that are very highly innervated, in particular with nervous fibres controlling the balance. It works in conjunction with the temporomandibular joint and the ears and the eyes in order to help us get good balance. To get good balance, we want to have our jaws matching together correctly. We want well-developed upper and lower jaws that bite correctly, and jaws like that grow and develop naturally when you keep your mouth closed. When you keep the tongue in the roof of the mouth and breathe through your nose, you'll grow jaws that will support good neurology to get good neuromuscular control of every muscle in the body. Whether you're playing football, squash or hockey or swim, it doesn't matter that you want to get good cranial neurology accompanied by good postural patterns to support good peripheral neurology. In particular, the neuromuscular response from the proprioceptors in every single joint in the body. And that's what we're doing. That's what SumDental does. It's bringing together different skills to bear on how we can bring different professionals together to help reduce or identify the risk of sports injury.